Hi. All right, cutting straight to the chase. Today we have this possum, Littlest Pet Shop, which I had several questions about when I first received it. First and foremost being, what even is this? Because it was like large and it had like the rat tail, but it didn't like really give possum to me. But when I looked it up, this mold is labeled as possum. But as we know, there's two different types of possums, and the one that it was labeled as is the one that's regional to like Australia, I think. But when I look at it, it's just like doesn't look like that. It looks more like the one that we have in America. Because if you look at possums that are in Australia, they have like a fuzzier tail and their coloring is a little different. Like on the Littlest Pet Shop version, it has that like little like rat tail. At the same time, the Littlest Pet Shop version doesn't look a lot like the American possum either. Like the proportions are just wrong and it looks weird. So that was my beef with the Littlest Pet Shop possum, and that's why I had to go ahead and customize it. So instead of a weird, uncanny, like in between version of two possums, I decided to lean all the way into the American possum. As usual, I started with wiping off the base paint, and I knew that going into this, I wanted to do more with the sculpting than usual, which means I had to remove the head off of the body for the first time. The first attempt was with my girlfriend's heat gun, which didn't work. This guy's head really wanted to stay on. So we tried again with dunking him in some boiling water.
What is wrong with you? Hello? Is it coming? Ah!
Yay! Then we were taking a hot knife to the tail to get that off.
Can we pretend that Abe? That's the biggest shit. The gang's all here.
The plan is to sculpt a thicker body and then reattach the tail once it's bulked out, and then I might actually have to shave down the head, I forgot it, or the cheeks, I forgot. But I don't know, I might just bulk them out with fluff since it'll match his body better once I bulk the body out. And I've already done enough cutting up for one day. It's sculpting time. We're back to the ball.
Balls.
The aforementioned ball that I use. Alright, so we sand wherever we're going to sculpt to try to give it something easier to stick to. This sculpting process was a bit messy and chaotic for my liking, but I ended up getting there eventually. Sometimes I feel like I don't take advantage of like baking it so that it is hard and kind of saves your progress so you can work on top of that. Because for the body especially, I just kept trying to work on this big mound of clay, and it definitely got easier after I baked it and then continued working on it after that. But I definitely wanted the body to be a lot rounder because possums just have these adorable fluffy round bodies, which the mold was not giving, which then made the head look super unproportional to the body because the mold has this really ginormous head. My hopes of bulking out the body were to make the head look a little more proportional. And I'm still kind of trying to figure out the style of sculpting and painting I want to do more with my Littlest Pet Shops, so every single one I do is kind of experimentation, which is a lot of fun. Okay, I have to bake this to save whatever progress I've made, and I might sculpt a little more and then bake it again, but it's just hard to work on this mound of soft, squishy clay. But there's an indent for the tail, so it can get attached later.
And I'm hoping that once I paint this, it'll not look so much like sideburns.
Oh, how naive I was back then. Because now I know as editing me that the indent that I left for the tail is simply not going to work. So I did make a few mistakes that, looking back on, I would do differently. The indent for the tail is not enough to reattach it easily. I don't know really how I had planned on attaching it, but I should have, with some hot wire or something, like poked a hole through the clay and the mold before it was baked, or at least sculpted the tail back on before I started the painting process. But you live and you learn. I ended up making it work, but it definitely was some trial and error. As I'm working and continuing to bulk out the body, I keep putting the head, just like placing it on top to kind of check the proportions to see how I'm liking it. And this is around when I started liking the shape of it.
I just remembered that I wanted to make the eyes smaller. So I'm about to rebake the body, and I'm just going to add that detail to the face real quick, and then I think all the sculpting should be done.
I'm so glad I caught that before I continued, because the face is actually like my favorite part of this custom, and the main reason is because I changed the eye shape. I think it looks so much cuter without these ginormous eyes. I've done this with a few of my other customs before too, just adding like upper eyelids to the mold to kind of change the eye shape. And I do love the style of Littlest Pet Shops. I love that they're cartoony and they have big, cute eyes, but sometimes it just doesn't look amazing. And now everything has been baked and I'm mostly just finishing up with some sanding. I tried my best, especially on the face, to sand it down to make it more of a smooth, seamless transition between the plastic and the clay. So then I moved on to dry brushing some acrylic paint onto everything to make it all meld together. Since this is the first time I've removed the head from the body, it was nice to be able to paint both parts separately. And it was a lot easier to also sculpt some of the neck fluff onto there because the ginormous head wasn't in the way. I just had to make sure that the neck fluff wouldn't have gotten in the way or the body in the way of reattaching the head. We recently bought a lot of Littlest Pet Shops off of eBay, I think, and the majority of them being like vintage pets from when I was a kid. And being a more recent collector, I didn't have any in my collection yet that were older like that, and we had fun cleaning them up. Some of, or I guess most of them are stained, but I will be able to at least use them for customizing the ones that are like not fixable, at least. So I have plans to make a custom version of my kitty cat named Milk, who you saw briefly earlier in the video. Right now, our craft room, which is where I work on my Littlest Pet Shops, is taken over by a litter of foster kittens. I work at a nonprofit rescue, and so every now and then our craft room turns into the kitten zone, and we still hang out and work in there, but it just makes it a little difficult to work on bigger projects like Littlest Pet Shop customs. But they're not going anywhere, and it's definitely worth it. The kittens are adorable.
I'm about to do the eyes soon. I have a few more layers to just make everything a little cleaner, but I do really like how the sculpting on the eyelids or the like upper eyes turned out. I feel like it actually looks really natural on the face mold. I mean, there are like some scuffs and stuff from sanding and just from it being clay. I couldn't get it perfectly smooth, but I do think the face is so much cuter like this.
While I work on the eyes, which is a painstakingly slow process, I'll talk about our kittens some more. There are 6 of them and their mom. We don't always, or actually this is the first time we've gotten the mom along with the litter. Usually we'll get kitten litters that got separated from mom, or mom just isn't in the picture. But they came in They were only like 3 weeks old with mom, and now they are coming up on 6 weeks, and they're so much bigger and alert and crazy, and they're just the cutest things in the entire world. It's very fulfilling fostering kittens. And it's also nice just because it's a temporary thing. We foster them until they're old enough to get fixed and then adopted out because it is very tiring, even though it is fulfilling. I gave my girlfriend the privilege of naming the litter because obviously their names are just going to change after they're adopted anyway. But while we have them at the shelter, we like to do themed litter names, and my strange and unique girlfriend decided to name them after this old stuffed animal line slash show called Fluffy Dogs, which, even though my work had no idea what they were, all that matters is that my girlfriend is happy. And they are pretty cute names. I have to name so many litters at work. I usually just let my coworkers do it because we get them constantly and all the time, to the point where we are considering making a spreadsheet where we could just add themes and ideas to it so that we can pick off of when we get more litters. We've done countless themes: foods, cars, TV shows, movies, characters, literally anything and everything. So the names tend to get pretty strange and unique, especially when the rest of the litter gets adopted out, or you look at them individually. You all of a sudden have a single puppy named Subaru because the rest of the cars already got adopted. Whenever I'm doing the voiceover for the video and it gets to the part where I'm doing the eyes or like the eye shines, I always think it's so funny because you can just tell how hesitant and scared I am. But luckily it went well and I didn't mess up too bad. And that's usually the last step, pretty much, before the face up is done. I think the face up is finally done, except I'm going to try to add some pastels, and if it ruins it, then I'm so scared.
I don't know why I'm holding my breath. I'm not doing it.
Should I add any to the cheeks? I think I will.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. It like it's it always goes on so light, but for some reason I'm like,
I'm sure it'll turn out well.
it's very subtle. Yeah. Now, here is maybe where I should have wondered, how am I going to reattach this tail? I have fully painted, and now I'm even Mod Podging it, and it is still separated from the body. But, I'm not thinking about that at that moment. I'm just Mod Podging and living in bliss, I guess. And I still have a tendency to lay the Mod Podge on a little thick. I am using watered down Mod Podge, but on the body I think I just globbed it on there, and so it ended up drying, but not like fully matte, but that's okay. I will learn eventually. I have been reading a lot lately, and I want to make some more book videos. I've also been drawing and working with my OCs a lot. I've kind of been escaping into my hobbies lately, and so I do want to make like another sketchbook tour and another book video soon, but we'll see how long that takes. It usually takes me a long time. But yeah, now we are just laying on some gel nail polish top coat to make the eyes look nice and shiny and putting it into the UV lamp. So now the head is reattached and he's looking glorious and adorable, and yet I have now realized that his tail is a problem. But luckily, sculpting some air dry clay onto it worked. It was a fun combination of like Gorilla Glue and then air dry clay and then more glue to make sure that it was structurally sound. And then after that dried, I just had to essentially color match as best I could, and then he was all done. I really, really like how he turned out. Even with the tail issues, I think the air dry clay managed to look pretty seamless and definitely an improvement from how he looked before, in my opinion. Enjoy the little outdoor photo shoot, but other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.